Jasmine Crockett delivered evidence, not speculation. But within mere hours, Baron Trump was rushed from a stage, and the reality behind concealed digital networks began to surface. The tension was palpable the instant Jasmine Crockett adjusted. Her position in her chair, that deliberate, measured movement, suggesting she was preparing to voice something irreversible. The discussion had been running for 25 minutes, another routine political debate on the Thursday evening, covering youth engagement, typical concerns about declining participation, online echo chambers, and Generation Z apathy. Jasmine had remained mostly silent, allowing others to dominate the conversation while a former Missouri senator droned about young people's lack of institutional respect and a network. Commentator repeatedly circled back to social media influence. Then, someone made an offhand remark about Baron Trump potentially entering politics someday, drawing polite chuckles from the audience. That's when she shifted forward. "I find nothing amusing about that," Jasmine stated, maintaining her composure, particularly when there are discussions occurring in digital spaces, concerning discussions, and someone utilizing Baron Trump's accounts may have participated in them. The studio fell into complete silence, the kind where you could sense the production team's panic. The moderator struggled for words. "Congresswoman Crockett, are you implying what I believe you're implying?" "I'm stating that if any other young person was connected to the types of organizations I've been briefed about, they would currently be in federal detention," Jasmine replied. "But because this individual's surname is Trump, we're acting as if it's fictional." There it was, unfiltered and direct, dropped onto the table like evidence at trial. The panel stiffened visibly. A longtime Republican strategist attempted to deflect with nervous laughter. "Those are serious allegations without substantiation, Jasmine." She didn't flinch. "You want substantiation?" She reached into her briefcase and withdrew a manila envelope. "I came prepared." Even the host didn't attempt to intervene, perhaps assuming it was theatrics. It wasn't. Inside were color printouts of private conversations, online forum threads, encrypted chat records, usernames matching Baron's gaming identities, screenshots from a secure server where participants shared insider jokes about classified information and reference documents that weren't yet public. Nothing overtly criminal, but the implications were substantial, especially when several accounts traced to IP addresses originating from Mar-a-Lago's private residential network. The atmosphere transformed immediately. The laughter ceased, cameras remained rolling, no producers shouted to end the segment. The Republican consultant tried again. "Anyone can manipulate screenshots." Jasmine's smile held no warmth. "Which is precisely why I had them verified by two separate cybersecurity companies, including one your party employed during the 2021 audit controversy." That statement landed with impact. Nobody spoke momentarily. The host mumbled something about transitioning topics, but Jasmine interrupted before he could redirect. "I'm not claiming Baron Trump violated any statutes," she clarified. "I'm suggesting that if he weren't a Trump, we'd be having an entirely different discussion." Just like that, the room descended into an uncomfortable, nervous silence, not because anyone necessarily agreed or disagreed, but because they recognized something genuine had just broken through their carefully constructed panel format. By commercial break, social media was erupting. A 12-second clip of Jasmine's different discussion comment had been captured and captioned by an audience member. It achieved viral status within minutes. Jasmine versus Baron was trending within 45 minutes, but this wasn't merely online chatter. News executives began contacting their senior reporters mid-broadcast. The control room attempted to conclude the segment prematurely. Jasmine's communications team had simultaneously uploaded the screenshots to a secure platform, alongside a time-stamped statement reading, "Not a publicity stunt. These materials are authentic." She hadn't informed anyone of her intention to reveal this information on live television, not even her staff. Later, she explained she didn't want anyone to dissuade her. Too many individuals get silenced before they can speak, she told her. Assistant during the car ride afterward. Network administrators panicked briefly, debating whether to issue disclaimers, but by then, it was already too late. The story had ignited and spread far beyond the studio lights. Meanwhile, in a ballroom in Palm Beach, a teenager who had been carefully building his public profile over the previous 8 months was discreetly escorted off stage, visibly pale and noticeably shaken, before he could even reach the podium. But that moment wasn't the most startling development. Around 11:15 p.m. Eastern, the complete screenshots surfaced online. Jasmine's team published everything to a public repository: usernames, timestamps, server records, and messages. Extracted directly from encrypted group discussions. She didn't release it personally, not initially. It came from an intern who pressed publish with trembling hands, and a brief caption reading, "Since everyone keeps questioning, here's what she presented." Within 18 minutes, every major political journalist with a social media presence had reshared it. By dawn, the screenshots were being analyzed line by line on streaming platforms and cable news programs. Some dismissed it as adolescent troublemaking. Others noted how the conversations contained specific references to Department of Defense memoranda and intelligence briefings that had never been disclosed publicly. That's what disturbed people. This wasn't a group of teenagers joking about current events. It appeared that someone, possibly multiple individuals, had been leaking restricted information into what began as a private gaming chat, and someone using the identifier BT, actual, had shared a meme matching a document format the Pentagon had recently begun investigating the previous week. Connecting the initials didn't require expertise. The breakthrough occurred when 2 journalists from the Phoenix Herald confirmed that the server had been flagged the previous month during a discreet sweep by a government cybersecurity division. Apparently, the division had issued warnings to numerous parents of minors discovered in the chats, but none to the Trump household. That detail resonated powerfully. If accurate, it meant someone somewhere decided to exclude Barron's name from that notification list. Cable anchors struggled with coverage approaches. You could observe it in their demeanor, some leaning excessively into skepticism, others proceeding cautiously like they were navigating a hazardous situation. But Jasmine pressed forward. By 10:30 a.m. the following morning, she appeared on 3 networks consecutively. Each time she refused to directly implicate Barron but maintained her core message. "It's not about his guilt or innocence," she stated during a DC interview. "It's about whether we're enforcing identical standards for the powerful that we apply to everyone else." The host attempted to corner her. "But aren't you concerned this goes too far? This is the former president's teenage son." Jasmine remained steady. "I taught in public education before Congress. I've witnessed children incarcerated for lesser offenses with a school laptop and a group conversation. Do you believe people will remain silent because this individual has a protection detail?" That clip resonated differently. Suddenly, she wasn't merely a congresswoman challenging a former president's son. She was the educator, the attorney, the woman from Dallas who understood precisely how the system operated and who typically suffered. It was also when someone first mentioned digital fingerprints. Digital forensic specialists quietly observing. The unfolding situation began confirming that the screenshots contained authentic metadata. Some documents included embedded server information, matching locations associated with Trump-owned properties. One cybersecurity analyst from San Diego commented during a podcast appearance, "You don't accidentally obtain this level of access. You either possess administrator privileges or someone provided you credentials." The implications escalated rapidly. By mid-afternoon, the narrative had evolved beyond just Barron. It concerned how these private servers had operated for months without being terminated, who financed them, why the Department of Homeland Security had declined to comment twice, A former intelligence consultant suggested on cable news that this wasn't the first instance of a young family member of a political figure gaining access to classified leaks. The distinction, he noted, is this one was caught publicly before. Adults could cover it up. Meanwhile, Jasmine's credibility was rising. The same outlets that once labeled her passionate but fringe were now discussing her calculated bravery. She wasn't celebrating. In fact, she avoided media for most of the afternoon, allowing the evidence to speak for itself. But the Trump family was scrambling. No official statement, no denial, just silence except for a single tweet from an aide that simply stated Barron is a minor, show some respect. That backfired severely. Thousands of responses flooded in with screenshots of teenagers who'd been prosecuted for far less. Jasmine herself reposted the tweet with one sentence: respect is earned. Accountability is mandatory. Even some conservative commentators began shifting their positions. One network analyst admitted on air it's troubling either the information is fabricated or someone has serious explaining to do. But the story was far from finished building momentum. It was intended to be a quiet appearance, low stakes, a private Republican donor gathering at the Four Seasons in Palm Beach. No media, no live streams, just several dozen familiar faces and tight security. Barron Trump had been carefully reintroduced into public view over recent months: speeches at private functions, appearances at campaign-style gatherings, curated social media moments, sufficient to generate interest without overwhelming him. People called it soft launching the legacy. The Trump circle hoped to develop him as the unexpected successor, less confrontational than his father, more reserved, clean image, untapped potential. That evening, Barron was scheduled to deliver a brief welcome address. It was scripted, approved. Short: say hello, thank the donors, pose for photographs. But as soon as the Crockett screenshots hit the airwaves, everything changed. Behind the scenes, news of the segment reached the venue like a shock wave through fabric. People's phones began lighting up during the cocktail reception. One woman reportedly showed another guest the clip of Jasmine holding the folder. "Do you think it's legitimate?" she whispered. 12 minutes before Barron was set to take the stage, his handler, a former Secret Service agent, received a call and pulled him aside. Witnesses near the bar observed Barron go pale. He kept asking one question: did she show the chat records? When he walked toward the hallway leading backstage, a server said he was hunched over, breathing shallowly, barely responding to anyone. He never reached the microphone. One of the event organizers, a man in his early 50s wearing a gold tie and navy suit, was first to call for assistance. He'd been standing near the stage corner when Barron reportedly collapsed. No warning, no dramatic gasp, just a thud. His legs gave out. He went straight down. Security rushed in first. Someone else shouted for a doctor. But before any of that, someone backstage pulled out a phone and started recording. It lasted only 9 seconds. Barron sitting against the wall, blinking rapidly, hands trembling, his handler kneeling beside him, shielding his face. The person filming was quickly stopped, but the video leaked within the hour. It didn't go viral because it showed anything dramatic. It went viral because of the expression on his face. The look wasn't anger, wasn't confusion. It was fear, pure, raw fear, like the kind you get when the image you've been constructing shatters in your hands. But Trump camp immediately blamed dehydration. A quick tweet from the family spokesperson said he was lightheaded due to heat and low blood sugar. But it was an indoor ballroom, climate-controlled, air-conditioned, no spotlight on him, and he hadn't even spoken yet. People weren't buying it. By midnight, 2 different guests from the event, both speaking anonymously, confirmed to reporters that Barron had asked repeatedly about what was already online and whether people knew it was him. That detail mattered. It told the public 2 things. First, that he knew which server Crockett had referenced. Second, that it had been troubling him for a while. Jasmine never addressed the collapse directly. When a reporter tried asking her about it the next day, she replied, "My focus is this country's safety, not powerful families' fragility." She walked away before they could ask another question. Behind the scenes, though, the story gained traction. Intelligence staffers began pulling old traffic records from flagged addresses. A contact inside the cybersecurity firm Jasmine had consulted told a freelance journalist in Santa Fe, "You wouldn't believe how many of these messages originated from hotel networks used by Trump properties. We assumed it was adult staff members. Now maybe not." The media started returning attention to the original question Jasmine raised: if a regular teenager had posted even one of those files, would they be sitting at home right now or already questioned by federal agents? As the conversation shifted, so did public sentiment. Some people online, especially younger conservatives, tried framing Barron as a victim. "He's only 20, they argued. "He didn't leak anything, just reposted material." But others pushed back hard. "Try being 20 and black with that same excuse." One tweet read, accumulating 1.2 million likes in 14 hours. Barron's silence after the incident didn't help. No video, no apology, just layers of damage control. A planned podcast interview with a conservative influencer was canceled without explanation. A scheduled campus tour at Georgetown was postponed. The digital footprint he tried so carefully to erase had suddenly been blown open by a woman who didn't blink when the whole country watched. But Jasmine wasn't finished yet, and neither was the investigation she had quietly initiated. By Sunday morning, the Crockett segment wasn't just news, it was the headline. Network producers scrambled to reframe their coverage. What started as an offhand comment on a late-night political panel had exploded into something bigger, messier, and harder to spin. It wasn't just about Barron anymore. It was about privilege, responsibility, and who gets protected when rules are broken. Jasmine Crockett woke up to 96 missed calls. 2 staffers had stayed overnight at her office to manage media requests. Her email inbox had been duplicated 4 times over by IT just to keep it from crashing. There were interview invitations from every major outlet, some friendly, some not. She chose just one. That Sunday afternoon, she sat down for a complete 30-minute interview with Channel 12 in Minneapolis, a local station with a national reputation for unfiltered reporting. She didn't wear flashy makeup or expensive clothing. Just a navy blouse, jeans, and her natural hair pulled back. The setting was casual, no studio lights, just a park bench. It felt honest. That was the point. The anchor asked her directly, "Congresswoman, what made you say what you said on live TV? You had to know what kind of storm that would cause." Jasmine didn't blink. "Because I've sat across from too many mothers who watch their sons go to jail for less. I've seen young girls lose scholarships over one post. I've written letters to judges begging them to consider the context. And then I watched a whole country pretend like Barron Trump couldn't possibly do something wrong because of his last name." She paused, "So I called it out. I had the evidence. I wasn't going to play dumb." That clip hit harder than the first one. It wasn't angry, it wasn't performative. It was just real. Jasmine sounded like someone who'd already had the difficult conversations. On the ground, off camera, in courtrooms where nobody listens unless you yell. It was empathy without apology.